Hello, welcome to the 30 books that I've read since July and what I think about them. These videos are always so long, so I hope you have a fun drink. I'm personally drinking a tea out of my Queen mug. I got this in Scotland. It's technically Queen Elizabeth's, like, I don't know, her official mug or something, but we have the same initial. That's why I have it. I don't care about her. Oh yeah, it's so good. Okay, it also was like snowing today, so we have great cozy vibes going, and I'm about to talk about some books that I absolutely loved, some that I actually really did not like at all. I will go over like a little bit of a stat breakdown. From July through October, I read 30 books. I had 5 DNFs, I had 1 reread, and then I did have an average rating of about 3.6, which is really funny. You'll see I do have the entire star rating spectrum in this wrap up today. The genre breakdown is fiction, fantasy, I would say probably romantasy, and just straight up romance. And horror. There's 1 horror book, I think. I'll have the official numbers on the screen. I just am not gonna do it right now. First book I have to talk about is called All Fours by Miranda July. This is the only book I've read by her. The premise of the book is a semi-famous artist decides to drive from Los Angeles, where she lives, to New York City. As she's on the road trip, 20 minutes in, she decides to just pull off and stay in this little rundown motel. She thinks it'll be like a kind of a reinvention of herself, but it's the start of a whole entire other journey. She meets some interesting people, has some interesting relationships along the way. I rated this book 1 star. I cannot begin to explain to you how insufferable the main character is, which I think is the point. This is just like a literary fiction book. And the more I think about it, the more this book is very much advertised as like this lady just has a bout of psychosis. She just goes crazy for a little bit. And in my opinion, when I picked up this book, I was like, yeah, I'll read about this lady going crazy. That sounds interesting. But it was maybe too real of a depiction of like a bad person just like doing whatever they want and like having no thoughts or cares about consequences or other people or like the impact on other people. I really did not like this book. Also, the amount of, I guess it's not gore, but what is it? Just things were too gross, graphic. It was just too graphic. Things were like gross sexually, things were gross generally. Like there was just a lot of disgusting things that happened in this book, which I was very confused by as well. Yeah, so this book was 1 star and I really don't like it and I really don't recommend it, and I will be giving it away at the end of the year because I don't even want to look at this. The second book I have to talk about is Talking at Night by Claire Daverly, and the premise of this is that Will and Rosie have known each other since high school. Will became pretty close with Rosie's twin brother, and therefore he spent a lot of time at their house, and obviously they went to the same school, so they began to see a lot more of each other. A tragedy occurs in the book and it kind of breaks their relationship, and then subsequently the rest of the book is them kind of just finding each other over and over again through their adult life. This book has a lot of comparisons to Sally Rooney's Normal People, and I am a lover of Sally Rooney's Normal People, and I understand that comparison because of the way the relationship has a lot of miscommunication, but in a very real person way, not like in a romance book way where it's like the miscommunication is a plot point / trope. Like this is just actually genuinely miscommunication because people are sometimes afraid to talk about their feelings because they don't think they're going to be reciprocated and they don't want to be hurt, or they're afraid of hurting other people. So I think that's true in the way they keep drifting towards each other. That's very reminiscent of Normal People, but I would not say the storytelling really is. Sally Rooney's writing style is quite unique, and I don't think this really replicates that. And I don't think that the characters were as deep in this book as they are in Normal People. So that's like gonna be my end of the comparison because I don't want to just talk about this book as a comparison to Normal People. But I do think that these characters were not that deep, or I wasn't as emotionally connected to them. I guess maybe because I just don't think we see as much in their head as we do in Normal People. I know I just said I was gonna stop comparing them, but I can't stop. But like I said, overall, I really enjoy the story. Those are my thoughts. I do really recommend this book. It's very good. And then third is Summer Romance by Annabelle Monaghan. The main character, Allie, is going through a lot because her mom died 2 years ago, and she was very close with her mom. And then she just got a divorce with her husband. So she kind of is going through the self-discovery thing where she's finding herself not only as a mother, but as also just a regular person. And she has a little bit of meet cute where her dog pees on this guy and they kind of hit it off at the dog park, and then she realizes a little bit later that that's her best friend's brother, her younger brother, which it's been so long since Ellie saw him, she did not even recognize him. She kind of decides to have a little fun summer fling. Maybe it turns into an actual summer romance. I think this book is so heartwarming, especially like the back of this book where it says he looks at her like she's a younger, braver version of herself. I think that is very present throughout this entire book where, what's his name? They call him like Sparky or something. Okay, his actual name is Ethan. So Ethan like really helps Allie find kind of who she was before she grew up. And I think that's a really nice thing to read about in a book, especially because she also has kids. So I don't know, like a lot of times it can be like, oh, like once you're a mom, like that's your whole life, but like you are still a person, and that is present throughout this book, and I really like that. Okay, the next book I have to talk about Jasad is Caught Up by Nevessa Allen. I did give this book 4 stars. Completely out of character for me. I don't read dark romance, but for some reason I did read what's it called, Lights Out, and of course Caught Up is the second book in the series. I think these kinds of books are great for road trips because everything is so crazy that I am actually not bored the entire time, and it makes time pass really quickly. The premise of the story is the main character's name is Junior, which I do not like, and that's Allie from the first book's cousin. Had a fling with this girl named Lauren in high school, and he pushed her away because Junior is part of the family business, and the family business is the mob. So he was like, she's too good for me, I can't be with her. He pushes her away, and then she kind of grows up. Well, okay, she actually grows up and grows into a woman that is not, you know, a little nerdy, bookish high school girl, and she has an OnlyFans, and she also has connections to this secret special club where they do crazy things. Like I always say, these books are a crazy fun good time. Like, it's absolutely wild. My jaw is on the floor. Do I think they're literary masterpieces? No. Am I having a good time? Absolutely. And I do just really enjoy it to listen to them on long road trips. And there's a third one coming out, and I'm definitely gonna read it. I don't know. Like, I'm not really trying to branch out into dark romance. I just found her books and I do like them. So that's all I can say for myself. That's my defense. Not that it's bad to like these books, I'm just saying for me personally. The next one is This Woven Kingdom by Tahira Mafi. Okay, so Eliza, the main female character, is a jinn, which is a group of ancient people, and their kingdom was lost years ago. I don't know if it says how many years, but she faces a lot of discrimination because she has magic. You know, people are scared of people with magic in this world, and she's actually the secret heir to the throne of the jinn people. The main male character is Cameron, and he's the prince to the throne, and he's been hearing this prophecy for his whole life about this girl with these weird eyes who's gonna be the end of his grandfather's rule. So he's always been on the lookout for her. Take a wild guess who the girl with crazy eyes is. Not crazy eyes, strange eyes. I don't know, they're like a weird color. She doesn't have crazy eyes. This book is YA, and I do not read that much YA. I was pleasantly surprised though. Did I say I rated it 3.5 stars? So I really did like it, and I really did enjoy that it was inspired by Persian mythology, and I thought it had really great world building, and it was pretty fast paced for the most part. I think maybe the first couple chapters are a little bit slow, but genuinely after that I was pretty intrigued the rest of the time. And the ending is kind of unexpected, or at least I didn't predict what was going to happen, so I'm curious about it, and I'm curious enough to want to read the rest of the series. So I think that's pretty impressive, like I said, because I don't read YA really at all anymore. I really did enjoy that book. The next book I read was This Jasad Heir by Sarah Hashem. So the city of Jasad was burned 10 years ago, and so everyone was killed, including the royal family, or so they believe, because the main character, Sylvia, is the lost heir of the Jasad kingdom, which is kind of funny. This book and This Woven Kingdom were very similar, and I read them obviously one after the other, so I did think that was kind of funny, but they do differ because Sylvia actually doesn't want to be found and wants nothing to do with her heritage or her culture or anything. She just wants to move on with her life, but she has to live in the city of the people that killed her kingdom, basically. Like, she has to live under the rule of that kingdom that killed her kingdom, if that makes sense. The heir of that kingdom, the one that she hates, comes to her village, and the heir to the throne finds out that she has magic because she has like some sort of anger outburst, and so to save her life, you know, usually the punishment for that is like probably immediate death, but to save her life she makes a deal with him to enter these deadly games. She does that so he doesn't kill her, and then also during that he knows that she's from that kingdom who has magical powers, but he doesn't know that she's the heir to the throne, so she has to hide that from him while working very closely with him through these deadly games. The main thing I have to say about this book is I so wish there was a glossary, because I don't think we expanded on the world a lot. I do think a lot of things were brought up, a lot of like fictional terms were brought up maybe once, explained once, and I was not catching on to what things were meaning, so I kind of wish there was a glossary. There were a lot of terms in there that I was not understanding, and then I do think the plot was really interesting. I do think the pacing was a little bit weird because it's kind of a long book, but to be honest, not that much happens. And then there's a romance in there as well that I didn't love, because I kind of feel like this girl has to give up literally everything, like her heritage, her culture, like everything that kind of makes her who she is, like to be able to like this person, or at least that's what I would think. I'm interested to see how the author goes, because the romance really kind of just starts in the first book. It doesn't get very far. I just don't really understand how it's gonna work without her like suddenly not caring that her whole entire family was killed. And I feel like that's maybe important, and that maybe your boyfriend's family shouldn't have killed your family, you know? But I don't know. Like I said, the romance doesn't pick up that much. That's just kind of me speculating about the next book. The next book I read was A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen. This is a Norse-inspired mythology, and the main female character is a shield maiden. Don't really remember entirely what that means. She's like I don't know, I guess kind of a warrior lady, and she didn't know it. Once she finds out the power-hungry king, somehow he finds out, I don't entirely remember the details. Anyways, he comes after her because he's like, I can use you and your powers to my advantage, so you're coming with me. And the king has a very sexy son apparently, because this lady, this main character, she's got eyes for him. I gave this book 1 star. I think it's actually so crazy in a bad way, because there was a plot in the first couple chapters. No, I would say maybe even in the first half of the book. And this is what happens. So I'll be like super entertained for the first half and I'll be actually really liking this book. And then a lot of times it's like when the romance starts to pick up, we lose the plot. What are we talking about anymore? What are we doing anymore? They lost all priorities except for like banging. And I don't like that because what happened to the plot? That's really how I felt with this book. And the forbidden romance, infuriating. I don't like it at all. That plot point really drove me crazy, and also, yeah, like I said, we just lost the plot. And then the plot that we did get, I hated. So the next book I read was The Vows by Jessica Joyce, and I gave it 5 stars. I love this book so much. I did not think I was gonna like it that much. It's okay, to be honest, I don't really rate a lot of just contemporary romance books 5 stars. That's kind of, I don't know, I don't usually like just a regular romance that much. However, this is a second chance romance and it's the best second chance romance I've ever read. So the premise is 2 exes are still connected by their shared best friend. That's how they met. That's how they got to know each other and fell in love and all that. But they broke up 5 years ago. They still have to pretend to be friendly during his wedding because their best friend thinks that they're all fine and dandy, but like the exes obviously are having, like, they don't, not that they don't like each other, but it's like they don't want to be around each other. They don't really want to interact because they broke up. Kind of makes sense. Georgia, the main female character, she goes into this whole entire situation with the mindset it's okay. They have this kind of list of rules that they follow when they're around each other because they obviously broke up knowing that they're going to be around each other a lot. She has this list of rules where she's like, if we do this, like, we'll be in no miscommunication, no confusion's going to happen. We can still be civil, but like, we don't have to interact too much. It'll be okay. But Eli shows up to, I don't even know where they are. Maybe California, I don't know. He shows up and he has the complete opposite idea. He's like, what rules? I don't know what rules you're talking, or not that he doesn't know what the rules are, but he's breaking the rules. He doesn't care. He just doesn't want to follow the rules anymore. And this wedding seems cursed. Everything keeps going wrong. The wedding cake goes wrong. The venue goes wrong. I think like literally almost everything that you could think of that goes wrong does. And obviously Eli and Georgia, being the best friends, want to fix everything, which means they spend a lot of time together, which is great. So, like I said, I have literally never in my life liked a second chance romance like I did this one because it wasn't so much past and present. I do think I really don't like books that are heavily past and present second chance romances. This one was kind of like, at least from what I remember, it was very short high school chapters, maybe not even a whole chapter, just kind of mentioning them in high school rather than like dedicated chapters talking about them in the past. And it seemed actually so genuinely realistic because it wasn't like, I mean, they were avoiding communication definitely, like, and I do think that's realistic, but I do think in a lot of second chance romances, it's like this huge big thing happened. It's like, oh my gosh, we have to get over this big thing. And like this one was, it was not that. It seemed realistic. The way they broke up seemed realistic. The way that life happened to make them want to get back together seemed realistic. I just really, 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 really love this book. I highly recommend, especially if you're not huge into second chance romance, maybe check that one out. Okay, the next book I read was Everything is Tuberculosis by John Green, and I did give that 5 stars, which is a nonfiction book literally about the history of tuberculosis, but it's like the social history and scientific history, which is extremely entertaining. I mean, I'm not really surprised that I love a book by John Green because the dude knows how to write, and he's also incredibly smart. And also the book is not that long. And also, the audiobook is narrated by him, so it makes it even better. I just really highly suggest the entire experience. It's really, really good. And then I read Paladin's Grace by T. Kingfisher. So this is my first T. Kingfisher book, and I did rate this 5 stars. The premise is that Stephen is a paladin and his god died. So for the 3 years that he's been living without his god, he's just searching for a purpose. One night when he's coming home from his, I don't know, work, I guess, he runs into this fugitive named Grace. And then some more things happen and they keep kind of running into each other and they witness a failed assassination attempt. And then it just kind of sets off in a trickle effect of a lot of weird, strange, bad things keep happening, but they seem interconnected. It kind of turns into a little bit of a mystery and they are just intertwined the whole entire time. And I cannot explain to you how cute this book is. I want to scream. It's so cute. It's so good. I really, really, really enjoyed this book. The setting, the night aspect, the main character Grace is a perfumer. And so we get a decent look into her little business that she runs and her background becoming a perfumer and all that. very cute. Like literally just the entire thing is so cute and wholesome and like heartwarming, but also good, like so good. I don't think it's overly cheesy. I think it's like the perfect balance of cute, heartwarming. It's not too spicy. It's literally so good. I really just can't recommend this book enough. And then I had a reread of Bride, which I rated 5 stars on the second time. I'm gonna say this. I was like, I don't know how I didn't rate this 5 stars in the first place. It's because everybody was like, ew, the werewolf romance. They didn't know all what happened in a werewolf romance, but let me tell you, I did. Okay, I read Wattpad when I was 13. I knew what was gonna happen. Therefore, I'm no longer ashamed to admit that this was a 5 star. It's a 5 star the first time and the second time. I just was brave enough to put 5 stars the second time. If you don't know, this is a like paranormal romance between a vampire who has an arranged marriage to the alpha werewolf. She only agreed to that because she thinks that her missing best friend is somehow tied to him. So she marries him because she's like, well, I want to find my best friend, and this is the only lead I got, so I might as well marry the guy. And let me tell you, it's just wonderful. I love Ali Hazelwood. I love her so much. I love everything she writes. I will read everything she writes. This is not anything new. If you've watched any of my videos, I like talk about Ali Hazelwood as much as I possibly can. Love this book the first time and even more the second time. Highly recommend if you have not read this book. And then I read The Devils by Joe Abercrombie, which I rated 4 stars. The premise is Brother Diaz is summoned by the Pope and sent on this like sacred mission to bring the lost heir of this, I don't know, this region of like the Europe-esque setting of this book. He has to bring her to her rightful throne or whatever. He has to do so with the help of a very strange group of people known as the Devils that's comprised of a vampire, necromancer, a werewolf, an elf, a knight, and then some other lady. I don't know what her title was though. Anyway, so it's just this group of misfits basically that he has to help him get this girl across the country. This book is really super fun and entertaining. However, I do have to say sometimes I was wondering if the book is maybe a little bit too long because we were saying so many funny things that it was like taking away from the actual plot, like maybe a little bit. But I'm also only saying that because towards the end it felt kind of rushed and I was like, maybe we could have spread this out a little better and so it wasn't like really funny all throughout the beginning and the middle, and then like not that it was more serious at the end, but it did kind of feel a little bit rushed, and I don't feel like there were as many jokes or funny things in the end. Either way, it was a great story. I really highly suggest that book, and I've never read a Joe Abercrombie book before, so I'm wondering if the rest of his books are like this, and I would like to check out more. Or if anyone has read any of his books and knows what I should read by him next, please tell me. The next book I picked up was Terror at the Gates by Scarlett St. Clair. The main character is Lilith. She's part of this very powerful, prestigious family. There's like a group of powerful, prestigious families that run the city of Eden that they live in, kind of alongside the church. She's kind of separated from her family. She decided to move out and live in like the more poor area of the city because she doesn't want to be under her parents' thumb. She doesn't want to be controlled by the church. She wants to do her own thing. And so she kind of steals things for a living. She finds like magical relics and sells them. And she finds this dagger and tries to sell it, but the guy who's inspecting her dagger dies. She's like, maybe this is not something I should have. Seems kind of dangerous. That kind of leads to a lot of issues that she runs into. And then she goes running to this guy who's also an heir of a powerful family, but he's more known for doing criminal activities. She runs to him for help for literally everything after that, which is bullet point number 1 of issues I have with this book. I did rate it 2 stars, but because this girl genuinely could not do anything for herself, and that drives me crazy. And somehow the basis of her always needing help from this one guy was like the foundation of the relationship, and like I was supposed to feel like chemistry from that, or a connection, a romantic connection. I don't know. I did not enjoy that at all, and it just drove me crazy. I just like a really powerful female main character, and she really seemed like that from the start. It was kind of the same feelings I had about A Fate Inked in Blood though. Really strong first half, really great plot. I was really enjoying it. She started needing so much help from this man. The romance started building. We lost the plot. All they wanted to do was spend time with each other. Where did the plot go? There's not one anymore. So yeah, this one was not my favorite. I think there's gonna be more in this series. I don't know how many, but I do not think I will be continuing it because it was just not for me. The next book I read was Such Sharp Teeth by Rachel Harrison, which I gave 4 stars. And it's about the main character, Rory, who's on the way home to help her pregnant sister prepare to be a mother. She's getting the house ready. She's just mentally preparing, all that kind of stuff. And she's randomly attacked by an animal and has some really strange symptoms after that. Essentially, she just turned into a werewolf. And this book, I do think is actually so crazy. This is the one horror book I read, because it's definitely gory. I will have to give you a little bit of a warning. It was very supernatural, but also like not fantasy-ish. Like, I don't know, I was thinking a lot about books where it's like, if you, okay, for example, this is kind of out of left field, but if you take the story of Spider-Man, for example, he gets bit by a spider. Obviously he doesn't turn into a spider, but he has spider abilities and therefore has to save the city. I don't know why that was like my number one thought, that I was like, oh, if she turns into a werewolf, she has to have like this responsibility to help people. I don't really know why that was my assumption, or I don't really know what was going on in my head with that comparison. But basically she just turns into a werewolf and like really has to go about her everyday life after that being a werewolf. And I do think that's really interesting to see. And it was interesting, the parallels between her not knowing what's happening to her body and turning into a werewolf, and like her sister's body going through so much change because she's becoming a mother. It was a very interesting parallel. The main character and her sister are twins, so then like their relationship issues with their mother was also very interesting. I don't know if it was officially like categorized as literary fiction, but it kind of felt literary fiction, but with a werewolf. And I thought that was such a strange combination, but I really liked it. And then I read In the Veins of the Drowning by Kaylee Cassidy. This kingdom hunts sirens, but the main character Imogen is a siren, so obviously she has to keep that a secret her whole life. A visiting king from a neighboring kingdom comes to her kingdom and knows exactly what she is. So since she can't hide anymore, she asks him for help, but because her power is so chaotic and unpredictable, they have to form a blood bond to get her to safety. When they escape back to his kingdom, the consequences of their actions kind of just follow them and like blow up a little bit. The storyline of this book was very good. I don't really know exactly how I feel about the romance in it, because this is definitely a like romantasy, not just a fantasy romance. I don't know. That's kind of why I just rated it a 3 stars. Like I'm kind of very okay about it. Everything was pretty okay. Nothing's super great, but nothing super terrible. And I do think that there are books following this. I'm not sure how many, but I do think I will continue. But this won't just be like high up on my radar where I'm like anticipating the next book release. But it wasn't bad by any means. I would say still check it out. The next book I read was Godkiller by Hannah Kaner. So the main character, Kissin, her family was killed by a fire god. She grows up and kills gods for a living until she comes across a god that she can't kill, who is Skedi. And he is the god of white lies and has somehow attached himself to this little noble girl. They obviously can't be separated. They don't know what to do. They ask Kissin for help. So they have to go on to this journey to a ruined city. I think it had some sort of magical significance, but I do not remember. And along the way, a disillusioned knight joins them, and he has a special mission from the king, but he's also going to this ruined city. But this world, I guess country, whatever it's set in, is on the brink of a civil war. There's a lot of political intrigue, especially because the knight is on a mission from the king, and so that's obviously more intertwined with politics. I would say it's like a little bit slow. It was interesting but slow at the same time, kind of, but it's okay because the book is really not that long, so that kind of kept me going because I was like, okay, well, you know, it's gonna pan out pretty soon, so I'm pretty invested. Next book I have to talk about is The Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. I rated this 4 stars actually. It's a story about Dracula's first bride, Constanza. It's so good. This is such a good book. I really like could not suggest this more. It's so interesting seeing the progression of when they first get married, when he first changes her into a vampire and then they kind of get married, her being in love with him and seeing how amazing he is, and then like slowly he shows himself, you know, more and more, and his manipulation starts to be shown. She's just somehow is trapped in this relationship with him, and obviously she didn't really know what she was signing up for, because when he turned her to a vampire she was literally dying. But it's written in the way of her writing letters to Dracula, which is super interesting. This book is extremely amazing, and I really highly recommend. Please check this out. And then I read Thirst by Mariana. I have no idea how to say her last name. But we follow 2 different time periods in this book. One is in the 19th century of Europe. She escapes to South America. And then the other timeline is also in Buenos Aires, but it's present day. So it's really split up though. The first chunk of the book is about the 19th century vampire and her experience of living that time period, being a vampire, and also seeing Buenos Aires turn into like a booming city, which I do think is very interesting. And then the modern day timeline is this woman who's taking care of her mother because her mother's dying from this illness where she's kind of losing all ability to speak, talk, everything. She's just slowly dying, and it's, in my opinion, very horrific to read. Like, that was just so hard to read at some points. It's beautifully written though, and extremely entertaining. I really also highly recommend this book. I just had a really tough time with the second part with this woman dealing with her mother, because I don't know, taking care of your elderly parents while they're dying is scary to me. So I did really enjoy this book, but that was a lot for me to read. Okay, the next book I read, well, it's really just a little novella. I read Hot for Slayer by Ali Hazelwood. So the premise of hers was a vampire slayer, while trying to kill the vampire, who's the main female character, hits his head and gets amnesia. And since she's the only one, the vampire is the only one around him, she has to take care of him because he doesn't know who he is, where he is, anyone he knows, all that kind of stuff. So she's forced to take care of him. He's like, I know you kind of thing, which, oh my god. It's really cute and short, and I gave it 4 stars because I love Ali Hazelwood, and it was just a fun, good time, so. And then I read Mate by Ali Hazelwood. It's so good. 5 stars. 5 stars. No hesitation about that. This one is about the human werewolf hybrid Serena, who is Misery's best friend. Misery is the vampire from Bride. She's the Northwest Pax Alpha's mate. She's in a lot of danger because I guess this like society doesn't really have experience with human werewolf hybrids, and a lot of people are after her. So obviously, like, he's the only person she's really safe with. So she has to stay with him. I literally love it so much. And there was an unexpected twist to this where like a lot of people are after her, but it's like this whole other group that you're introduced to that's absolutely insane. And it's slow burn. I love slow burn so much, and I love Ali Hazelwood so much, and I just love this book so much. So this book, I think, is perfect to me. The next book I read was A Dance Macabre by Naomi Loud, which is about 9 powerful families, and they all have heirs that are like around the same age. So it's kind of a little bit of a friend group, but like they're also kind of not friends. There may be some frenemies in there. But it takes place during a lottery year. So which of the 9 families get to rule is chosen by a lottery. So the book takes place during a lottery year, and you're in the perspective of Mercy and Wolfgang. Their families are notorious for hating each other, and something happens during the lottery where they kind of have to team up to rule the city together. And I would say the premise was very interesting. I really enjoyed the aspect of the 9 families. In the god system, they're all dedicated, these 9 families are all dedicated to specific gods. For example, Mercy, the main female character, is dedicated to death. Wolfgang, the male character, is dedicated to like glory and fame and persuasion. And those were very much intertwined into their characters, which I really enjoyed. It's definitely pretty spicy, so like to a certain extent, there's not that much plot, but it was still really good. I still liked it a decent amount for considering how little plot there was, maybe. I'll just say whatever plot there was in the book was really good. So that's why I still rated it at 3 stars. The next book I read though was Enchantra by Kaylee Smith. This is about Ophelia, her sister Genevieve, goes to Italy because after her mom's passing, she wants to find out some more things about her mom and kind of why she was the way she was. And she gets in contact with one of her mom's old friends and shows up to his house and essentially gets trapped in this like family game that's cursed and also deadly. The games in Enchantra were just not as interesting as they were in Phantasma. I like really found that kind of glaring from the start. In my opinion, the book was kind of just too long for what it was. I don't think there needed to be so many rounds of the game. We could have like gone through it a little quicker because, to be honest, there's not really that much there. And I only enjoyed it a little bit, so that's probably why I feel that way. Next book I have to talk about is Soul Searching by Lila Sage. The main female character of this book, Collins, is the photographer that needs a break, and she's like kind of running away from her issues. And she returns home to help her family with their antique shop and also help Brady, who's the main male character who just moved to Sweetwater Peak, which is where they're from. She's helping him run his carpentry shop. Collins and her sister can see and talk to ghosts, and she's kind of lost a connection with them and wants to get her spark with these ghosts back. And she goes around Sweetwater Peak, like rediscovers her love for this area, which kind of reignites her relationship with these ghosts. And Brady tags along for these sessions, and especially because he's new to the area, and kind of falls in love with the little town that way as well. It's really so cute. I really, really enjoyed this book, and it was quite a slow burn, which I was surprised by. And I heavily appreciated that because I love a slow burn. The next book I read is called The Incandescent by Emily Tesh. So in this book, you're in the perspective of Walden, who's the director of magic at this private, like kind of prep school called Chetwood. And you're just kind of experiencing her daily life with her students, being the director of magic. They have these demon experiences that are becoming more and more frequent at the school, and she's an expert in demon experiences. And so obviously she's the most qualified to find the solution for this. That's kind of really the only premise of the book. I do have to say though, The pacing was kind of strange because it's really split up between Walden and her personal life, kind of her love life, and her teaching life with like the students and the demon incursions or experiences and everything. And I don't really love that because it felt kind of choppy where it was like, this is Walden her personal life, this is Walden her teacher life, this is Walden her personal life. Like it was not very intertwined, or at least I don't think it didn't flow very well. It's also marketed as a queer romance, which I don't agree with. There is a romance aspect with, she's kind of a security guard, like magical security guard for the school. So Walden has like a bit of a romance storyline with her, but I would not say this is like a queer romance. Like there are romance aspects between them, but it's really not like, I don't know, at least in my opinion, I would think of it to be like a more stereotypical fantasy or like romantic-y storyline, but it's really not. And I do think it was marketed incorrectly. However, I did love the setting of the book, so I guess that's good. The next book I read was Blood Over Brighthaven by M.L. Wong. So Sayona is the main female character, and she is the first mage to be admitted into the high magistry. And because of that, she has to work like 10 times harder than all her male counterparts, and they don't make it very easy for her. As part of a little joke, they assign her a man who's been a custodian almost his whole life to be her assistant, when normally they get like student assistants or people who are at least trained in magic. And she severely underestimates this man, but he turns out to be actually extremely helpful because he used to live outside of this magical city that they live in. So he has a lot of outside perspective that actually is very beneficial to her work. And it's beneficial for him as well because he's able to understand the magic that destroyed his tribe and his family a little bit more. Something that I absolutely love about this book, I rated it 5 stars. I don't know if I said this. I, first of all, just love this book, but something I especially love about this book is that it's like a tragic hero story. And I just don't think I'm reading enough of those. I don't know, I don't want to say it's not a common thing, but I just need to read more tragic hero stories because I love it. The concept of this book was extremely interesting, as well as the writing. I am obsessed with the way this was written, like truly. I'm so obsessed with the writing that I didn't even like the romance that happened in this book very much. I actually really didn't like, I don't want to say I didn't like it at all. Well, actually, no, I didn't like it at all. No, I really didn't. I didn't really want them to be together at all because I didn't think it made any sense. But I can overlook that because of how much I enjoyed how it was written and the storyline of this book, which I think says a lot. And I still rated it 5 stars, and I didn't like the romance storyline, but also the romance storyline was extremely small. Like it was not a focus at all, which obviously I appreciated because I did not like it. But overall, like I love this book. The magic system was also extremely interesting. It was very science-based magic, which I obviously feel like is more realistic because just magical magic where it has kind of no laws, no, root in reality feels less realistic. But this was so interesting, and it felt, I don't want to say it felt very real because it was still very much fantasy, but I did think the magic system was extremely interesting. And I just really love this book. Oh my gosh, my tea is like cold. Not even just regular cold, it's almost frigid. That's almost iced tea at this point. Next book I read was A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sangu Mandana, which I rated like a 2.5. I'll get into my thoughts in a second. The premise of this book is that the main character, Sarah, is an extremely powerful witch, but she lost her powers a couple years ago because she brought her aunt back to life, which the magical guild that she's a part of did not like because that's, I guess, technically dark magic. She's not very powerful anymore, and she begrudgingly runs this magical inn with her aunt. And the inn has some quirky little guests, and then she finds out that there's a spell that could restore her magic, which then introduces her to the main love interest, who's a magical historian, and he reluctantly decides to help her. Let me get into my thoughts. My expectations for this book were a little bit too high because I was so surprised with how much I loved the first book, A Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. I loved that book so much that I thought I was gonna go into this book automatically loving it, and that was just not the case. I thought the side characters were annoying and too cheesy, and overall the storyline was too cheesy. I just did not love this one as much as I thought I was going to, so it kind of breaks my heart, but unfortunately that is how I feel. And then I read Theory of Dreaming by Ava Reed. This is the sequel to A Study in Drowning. So it's the same main characters, Effie and Preston. They're back on campus after the ending of A Study in Drowning, where they discover incriminating evidence against the country's basically favorite author. Like, he wrote cultural pieces that define this whole entire country and their people, and you know, people aren't very happy that they're saying negative things against him, so they have to navigate that amongst their peers and the growing tensions, because basically there's these two countries, I don't know how to pronounce it, it's L-L-Y-R, I think it's Lear and Argant. There was a war going on in the last book, but it's getting worse in this book. Effie and Preston are both under a lot of pressure in general. Preston starts to have these dreams about being in this underwater kingdom, and he somehow is able to rule the entire thing. Effie is trying to stay afloat amongst all the pressure from herself and the peers around her because she got into the literature college, which is comprised of only men. I really enjoyed this book. I really enjoyed Studying Drowning. Quite literally, if you like that book, you're gonna like this book. I just love Avery so much. Her writing is really amazing. I really enjoy how culturally rich her books and her worlds are. I do think the pacing was a little bit strange because the ending was kind of rushed. So I almost wish it was either longer or just more of the important stuff happened in the middle of the book rather than just the end. But overall, I still highly recommend this book, and also obviously Studying Drowning. I recommend them both. The book I read was The Will of the Many by James Islington, which I gave 4 stars. This is set in a fictional society that's like similar to the golden age of the Roman Republic. A lot of the naming of things is very reminiscent of the Roman Republic. So basically the lower classes in the society cede their will, which is basically just their mental and physical energy, to the higher classes. And Vis is the main character. He's an orphan who is recruited to attend this academy to spy on the people that run the academy because they're hiding this secret weapon that they have, and they have a lot of information, and there's also been a lot of mysterious deaths happening. So he's kind of just there to be a spy and investigate while also keeping his true identity hidden from everyone. This book really surprised me because it was so engaging the entire time. This size, I was like, there's no way that whole thing is good. Let me tell you, the whole thing is actually good. And the world building is actually not too complicated. I definitely went into this expecting it to be as complicated as Red Rising. I just think that Red Rising, Pierce Brown is really not giving you a lot of, he's not hand-holding. I wouldn't say this is hand-holding, but it's definitely better. This book ends on the most insane cliffhanger. Okay, no, I don't want to say what happened to cliffhangers because that's a crazy thing to say. But what happened to good cliffhangers? I didn't expect this cliffhanger. I don't know if that makes me dumb, but I didn't see it coming, so it really got me. And I also have to say the audiobook is very good, even though it is narrated by an old British man. And I usually have beef with old British men narrators, but this one was pretty good. So I enjoyed the audiobook, I enjoyed the whole book, and I actually really recommend it. And the last book on my list is The Ministry of Time by Kellyanne Bradley. And I gave this book 5 stars. I have been avoiding this book for so long. I have no idea why. Truly, I have no idea why. Actually, genuinely, maybe just because it's about time travel. So the main female character, she works at the Ministry of Time. She's basically recruited because these people are stealing people from the past because they know they're gonna die anyways. So they take them from their lives in the past, bring them to the future, and they're like, okay, what happens? Is it gonna affect the people badly? Is it gonna affect, you know, society, the world, the timeline badly? It's really actually quite crazy. And to be quite honest, I don't really fully understand time travel, like genuinely at all. So if there are issues with the time travel in this book, I don't know them, which makes it better for me. I feel like that's probably a common critique of this book, but like, I don't know. I don't know anything about time travel. I hardly know anything about, I guess, space. I don't really know. I really enjoyed the writing style of this book, and also just the unique concept. This is just a book like I've never read before. So I think I'm just so pleasantly shocked at how much I really enjoyed this book, and it's really not intimidating at all. It's not like they go into like scientific details really at all. It's not like complicated or hard to understand. And there's a romance in here, but it's not it's not a romantasy, it's not a sci-fi romance, you know, the romance is very much an underlying subplot. I'm just kind of shocked at how much I really like this book and how much I actually really recommend it. This is a random thing to bring up, but like, this is like a good book to like recommend to like adults in your life. If you're anything like me and you tell people you like reading all the time, they're like, oh, what do you like to read? I don't want to tell them that I like to read werewolf romance, so I'm gonna tell them I read this. You know, it's that kind of book, but in like the best way possible. I hope that's not taken negatively. I still really like this book, obviously. So those are all the books that I've read in the past couple of months. Honestly, I'm still overall very happy with what I have read. I have rated a lot of things quite highly. I've obviously rated some things quite lowly, but I don't know, overall I'm pretty happy. And if you have either read any of these books and loved them, please tell me down below. Or if you have suggestions for me, please always tell me those down below. I love to get suggestions from other people. Yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you next week in my next video. And yeah.